Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about what zero I use for a 22 rifle, specifically one that has a red dot on it. Okay, and today I'm using my Ruger 1022. It's got some aftermarket furniture on it. It's got a Holosun 503C. Okay, the 503C is the solar powered red dot. You can see the solar panel on top. It's got a 2 MOA dot and a 65 MOA circle around it. Okay, so my idea with a red dot is I want to use a zero that's going to be the most versatile, and I don't have to make adjustments at different distances, or I have to make the least amount of adjustments. So with the 22, I use a 20-yard zero. Okay, now the target that I'm usually shooting at is an 11 by 8 paper. So I want to pick a zero that I can hit this paper all the way out to 100 yards. Okay, so with the 20, I'm going to hold this close to you so you can see the data. With the 20-yard zero, I get a first zero at 20 yards. Then at 30 yards, I am 2 inches high. At 50 yards, I am 3 inches high. At 75 yards, I get my second zero. Okay. Then at 100 yards, I am 4 inches low. Okay. So for some of you that may not be familiar with how that works. Basically, this rifle, because of this aftermarket stock I have on it, it's stock, it's straight. It doesn't drop down, it's straight. So it's kind of like an AR-15. And for me, that's kind of the purpose is I want to be able to train with this rifle as if though I'm using an AR-15. This way, the training I do with this carries over to my ARs. So it's got a straight stock. So the stock and the barrel are straight, which means that the scope needs to be a little bit higher so that I can get my face on the gun and be able to comfortably see. Okay, so I've got this riser over here, which raises my line of sight 2.5 inches above the barrel. Okay, so because of this, okay, line of sight is straight. When I'm adjusting the zero, basically the rifle ends up being pointed up a little bit so that the trajectory of the bullet reaches the line of sight. So what that means is that because the rifle is pointed slightly up, it's going to get a first zero at 20 yards. Then it's going to continue rising. Okay, and like I said, it will be 2 inches high at 30 yards, 3 inches high at 50 yards. Then it starts coming back down. Okay, at that point it'll come back down around 75 yards where I get my second zero. Right, and then out to 100 yards when I'm at the paper. If I'm basically putting the red dot in the center, the bullets would impact someplace down here. Now, if I know if I'm shooting 100 yards, what I will usually do is I'll put my red dot closer to the top, so I'll hit center paper. Okay, so that's the reason why I use a 20-yard zero. Now, today what I did is I took this out to 200 yards. Okay, now with the 200 yards. I wasn't quite sure where I was going to hit, so that's why I used this gigantic paper over here. Okay, I mean, I knew I was going to be close, but I wasn't exactly sure, so I wanted to use a bigger board so that if I went off the paper, I would know exactly where I hit. So I draped this over my backstop, and what I did is I took the red dot, right, which the red dot, let's say, is about half the size of the paper at 200 yards, and what I did is I went, instead of it being centered, right, instead of the red dot being centered, I went 1, okay, 2. So I used the red dot itself as a measure for my holdover. So I went 1, 2, all right. And then what that did is, when I shot up here, okay, the bullets dropped down here. So from the center of the paper, I'm about, let's say basically you can see I've circled all the hits. Okay, this is basically a 12-inch group. The furthest 2 points from here to here, or from here to there, from there to there. So basically, the furthest 2 points is 12 inches at 200 yards. Okay, the center would be right about here. So from the center of the paper, I'm down about, whatever this is, it's about 12 inches. But I'm able to hit this, okay, and I'm able to hit this consistently at this point because my holdover is a minimal amount. It's basically 1, 2. If I had to go more, then you kind of lose sense of how much your holdover is, you basically need some type of a scope that has lines or anchoring points or something, so that you can consistently go to the same spot. So up to 2 measurements of that red dot, I can do that kind of consistently, because I can kind of tell, okay, from here I can put the red dot at the top of the paper, right? I can anchor to the bottom of the paper here, and then from there I can say, okay, from there I'm just going to move it up one more measurement, and I can pretty much hit, I can get on the bottom of the paper pretty consistently. And as far as a man-sized target, again, if I'm trying to hit center mass, okay, at 200 yards, I would go, basically, I would raise the red dot 1, 2, all right, and I'd be able to hit center mass with that. So that's why I like this 20-yard zero. And by the way, I'm using this cheap Remington, Golden Bucket. So I'm using fairly cheap ammo. I'm getting a 12-inch group at 200 yards. And I'm going to hold this up here so you guys can see this again. Okay, so 20 yards zero. Then at 30 yards, you are 2 inches high. At 50 yards, you are 3 inches high. Second zero at 75 yards. Okay, and then at 100 yards, you're 4 inches low. And then I made a note down here that at 200 yards, you're going to basically hold your dot a measurement of ×2 above your target. Okay, let's talk a little bit for a minute about the stock that I'm using. Okay, I probably bought this about 10 years ago, so I don't remember what name this is. It wasn't very expensive. The stock was maybe $30. It was less than $50, maybe even $30. It does not have the name on the stock. But the point with this stock is that it's a straight stock, so it's very AR-15-like. Okay, and my goal is, when I'm training with my 22s, I want to be able to do the same things that I do with my AR-15. So it's a straight stock, which means that I have to use a riser here. Okay, so in order to mount my red dot, so that my red dot falls, in the correct spot where my eye is. Okay, and because of this, because the line of sight is 2.5 inches above the bore, okay, I'm able to use that 20-yard zero. And get the double zero, get the 20-yard zero and the 75-yard zero. If you guys got any questions, comments, please post it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member, subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that bell so you get notifications of my new videos as they come up. Talk to you guys next time.